or Antelope at the B, these are huge printers due to acquisitions, as it happens in distribution market and in the production market. These are huge printers. So they will have more regular indent orders than they used to have when they are all before, when they are all a separate company. And being an independent small printer is a very difficult job these days. And I think in the years to come. So they will be very cautious in stock management, and rather than keeping stock for themselves, depending and lay themselves dependent on the paper merchant. But they are in a fierce competition with these bigger printers. So that's where I would say that stock business is in a faster decline than indent business.
Is it fair to say that this will have gross margin impact? Because obviously the indent business is a lower gross margin business than stock, right? Mm-hmm. So should I be expecting some sort of gross margin pressure within papers?
Oh yes, indeed.
But historically, if I look historically, like the overall gross margin has increased. That's because packaging and visual communications are a higher gross margin. But even gross margin in paper itself has increased as well. And I think the part of that rationale, the main reason for that is they've been dropping less profitable accounts, right?
Correct.
So between the two, I mean, how should I be thinking about it? So on one hand, they're dropping less profitable accounts, but on the other hand, stock should be declining faster than indent. So, I mean, should the two cancel each other off? How should I be thinking about gross margin in paper over sort of the next 3, 4, 5 years?
I think the gross margin pressure in paper will continue to exist. And if you look to the slide which says a successful business transformation story, page number 10, then you can see at the bottom of the sheet the gross margin contribution of the packaging and visual com, which is now more than 1/3 of the total contribution. When will the gross margin pressure on paper will be balanced out? Well, difficult to say, but there is always a rock bottom. You cannot decline forever. But I think if you look to
Sorry. I'm thinking about it in percentage terms, right? So that maybe we didn't understand each other properly. Obviously, the revenue in papers is declining, right? So your absolute amount of gross margin in papers is declining as well. But the percentage gross margin contribution in papers has actually been increasing from like 21.7% to 23% over the last sort of say 5 years. And I'm just thinking, should there be pressure on the percentage rate going forward because of the dynamics we discussed, or sort of, or because of dropping less profitable accounts, you'll be able to maintain the 23%?
Yeah, I would say like that. The company in question is very vigilant on gross margin management, and yes, they will continue to walk away from unprofitable deals. They will. So I would say in the years to come that their strategy will be to maintain the gross margin as it is today, as good as possible.
But then, in theory at least, they should be growing. They should be declining at a slightly faster rate than the market, right? Because they have to be dropping customers